And welcome back. In our previous video, we had exported our Bitsy QuickTime guide for Resolve and for Pro Tools. We'd also exported AF audio for Pro Tools, and we'd exported an XML, the translation file only for Resolve. Okay, so I'm going to go to Resolve, and I want to create a new project. Create. You can see in Resolve, what it will do, it's going to default everything to 24 frames, which is not what we want. We're going to need to change that. So the way you do that is you can right click on the orange project highlighted, and you can go to project settings. I'll just help you set up a new project setting. Think of these things down the side as tabs, okay? You've got an overall tab, which is the presets, and we've got some presets here, one of them being 1080p 25. This particular project is high definition, it's 1080. It's progressive and it's 25 frames per second. That's what I want, okay? But I'll show you how to make another one. As we step down into master settings, there are certain things on here that we need to be aware of. Now, the timeline resolution, I'm happy. 1920 pixels across, 1080 lines down. Our pixel aspect ratio in HD world is going to be square. We're okay. Here's the first problem. Timeline frame rate, 24 frames. Well, we can easily change that. 25. Playback frame rate, 25 too. Resolve is really quite interesting. You've got to tell Resolve what's going on. As soon as you tell it what's going on, it's happy. So you can obviously have a different frame rate to a playback rate. That's going to cause confusion, so let's try and keep everything the same. Enable video field processing. Now, if you tick this particular preset will be interlaced. I work in a world of, sort of maybe 70% progressive, 30% still interlaced production. So this is the only real indication that this particular project will be interlaced. We don't need to tick that. We want it to be progressive. As we go down video monitoring, if you're grading, of course, you're going to have a separate, you're probably going to have an Ultra Studio card, something like that, and you're going to have a feed over SDI or HDMI going into a monitor of some kind, a calibrated monitor. There's no point grading on your desktop, okay? Let's just get that straight, okay? Nobody grades on their desktop. That's ridiculous. It doesn't work. Compute colors are very different to the Rec 709 color space. So what we need to make sure is that if you have, which you will, of course, an output card and a monitor, that we need to check the video format to whatever it is. So if it was interlaced, I'd be choosing I50, but it's going to be 1080p 25. Okay, good. So this is your video monitoring, okay? This is the monitor external to this desktop, okay? SDI configuration, well, you probably have an SDI feed, serial digital interface feed, a cable. It's a physical cable, and you've got three options here. Depending on the weight of your codec and the size of your format, if you're using 4K, 5K, 6K, you need to have a dual link, in some cases a quad link to fire all that information through, and the equivalent monitor enabled to monitor this feed. I just stick it on single link. That's fine. Single link, single cable. Bit depth, really important, 10-bit. Most of this wouldn't have changed. Back in the day when I was on 8 and version 9, even 10 sometimes, this would be quite important, especially making sure that, I had some good playback, but the quality of the processing on my iMac or even on my MacBook Pro now is just so much so that if my native media is like DNX 185X or even ProRes HQ, I don't have any trouble. I just don't. I'll only really have trouble when I'm adding noise reduction. Okay, things will slow down. I might need to cache that clip. Stepping down, image scaling, I'm happy with sharper. Again, a lot of this stuff we don't need to worry about. Color management, I'm happy. General options. Conform options are quite important if you're conforming up, of course. Let's say you were conforming up from a client who had taken everything in from Avid DNX 36. Resolve is very, very good at conforming. So if you have that AF from the picture lock from the client's timeline and you have access to the raw media, then this option here will help you link that back up. And it is fast and it is very powerful. Camera raw, not really bothered. Caption playback. Well, back in the day when I started, we would be ingesting from tape and we'd be laying back to tape. It doesn't really happen very often these days. Still does. And, would I use Resolve to do that? Probably not. But, if you were taking in something, here's your options here. more than likely I'd be choosing interlace 50. You know, most traditional tape-based stuff would be interlaced. Certainly from transmission perspective as well. Even if it'd been shot progressive, it'd still be laid out interlaced. And one of the reasons is for that is to have your roller nice and smooth on your credits. You've seen a progressive roller, very stuttered. Go back up to presets, and I've now changed those presets, although it's not that obvious. The only real thing it gives you is this save as. I'm going to hit save as. I'm going to, yeah, it's going to give me a preset name, so I'm going to call it what it is. Call it what it is. It's HD, okay? It's 1080, okay? It's progressive, it's 25, and because I've got two of them, update. Click OK, and there it is. Click on it, hit load. Generally, I always found this is from maybe legacy Resolve. You would always have to hit it twice for it to take. Hit load again. It's a habit of mine, but I still do it. Click cancel, and then you can see that it's updated. Resolve prep. Here we go. 1080, 25. Good. Double click. In we go. Okay, so what have we got? This is Resolve 15. I've not gone to 16 yet. I'm going to let everyone else have the problems with that first. I'm happy with this version, but we have some various things in here. Let's just slow this down. We, of course, have our media area. We have our edit page. We have Fusion. Today we've got the color page. We have Fairlight, of course, and we have delivery, which is just simply stunning. Okay. Let's have a look at the media. What do we have? We have, well, let's turn my waveform off. We have, like many applications, the route to where your media lives. That'll all appear here. We have our bin list here. Again, you know, from an Avid or a Premier's perspective, it doesn't look like that. It looks very different. It's not very obvious, but this is where your bins live. This little stripy area is your media pool, okay? Resolve will only see things that live in this media pool. Okay, whether they're imported by XML or you manually drag them in, okay? If they're not in here, it won't see them actually to work with. You can still see them, you can monitor them up here, but in order to work with them, you've got to be in here, okay? And here's your monitor here. Job queue is quite good, especially with the clone tool. Clone tool is excellent. MD5 checksum, it's pretty sweet. I advise you, whatever you're doing, have multiple backups of your files, but make sure you clone. Don't copy. Don't drag and drop on the desktop. Don't do it, okay? You'll introduce an artifact. You'll introduce a problem. Clone it, okay? I'll have another video about that soon. I'm going to go down to master, and I'm just going to right-click on that, add bin, and I'm going to put media, okay? And if I'm highlighting that bin, that's where I want everything to go, okay? Now let's go and find our XML. So I'm just going to jump over to, you can do it from this page and this page, but generally I'll just jump over to the edit page. I go File. On 15, it's changed slightly. It's now Import Timeline, okay, and then you import AAF EDL XML. This is the one that we have chosen to use. Very powerful. Okay, now let's go and find it. Here we go. There's my file XML. Click Open. This will give us the source file, the import timeline name. I don't need to change any of this. The master timeline start timecode. In the UK, you want it to be 1000 hours, of course, but again, I'm not really bothered about this at the moment. Automatically set project settings, okay. Automatically import source clips into the media pool. This is where it defines the clips and it puts them into the media pool for us, in order for us to use them. There are various other things that we could use for linking, but I'm not really too fussed. It's pretty powerful. Timeline resolution, yep. I'm going to click OK. Right, the clip was not found. Do you want to search it? So there's one clip in here that it thinks that it can't find. Let's have a look. So I'm just going to go to no, I don't want to search. And it gives me a log. So it's importing. So there's one thing that it can't find. It's got an invalid frame, but we'll have a look at that in the timeline. Right. So you may have some errors like that, but it's not the end of the world. You can manually pop in things. Okay. So we know actually at the very, very top, there was a graphic which I didn't remove. Okay, well, that's fine. That's coming as offline. I'm going to get rid of it anyway. I don't want it anymore. But I'm going to keep everything else in the right position on the timeline. Okay. Great, and that's looking good. In order to prep this sequence correctly, there are a few other things we need to do in order to before we start the grade. I'm just going to jump back to the media page. So you can see there's all our media. And it's pretty cool. There's all the metadata. Oh yeah, look at all this. Resolution, frame rates, location, codec. I mean, this is all the stuff that really interests me. This is the fun stuff. It may seem like gobbledygook, but it's not. It's really cool, actually. This will save you a lot of heartache if you can understand this. I'm going to go to the master bin, and now I'm going to create a new bin. I'm going to call it bitsy underscore QuickTime guide. And I'm going to add WAV as well. I'll show you what that means in a moment. Okay, so let's go and import bitsy QuickTime. Yeah. There we go. Right, bitsy QuickTime. There. And there we go. There's the final sequence. You can open it, see, we can view it. Good. There we go. What's really handy in a grade, believe it or not, is to have the audio. It's quite nice, not only for your client's viewing, but also as you go along, the grader gets to understand the program as he goes through as well. It's quite handy from an editorial perspective. And believe it or not, it does make your grades better when you can actually hear what's going on. It's sort of the same thing for the reversed in the Pro Tools, you know, when your audio engineer is messing around with the track play or adding the com record or doing the final mix, they need to see the vision. So let's treat everything the same. So I'm just going to click on that. There are things we need to do. We need to apply audio to this sequence. And the way that we do that is we click on the sequence, we go Control, right click, and we extract the audio. Okay. This is now ripping the audio from the sequence, making a new file and making a WAV. Great, that's what we want. Now, we want to bring that into the media pool. Two ways you could do that. You could drag it, okay, or you could right click on it and go add to media pool. There we go. It's in the media pool, okay. Resolve will now see it and work with it. I want to apply an offline picture guide as well. Now, there are two ways of doing this. There's a traditional way of doing this, which slightly annoys me when you actually attach it via an offline monitor in order to step through your files. In some ways, that's good. I actually quite like dumping it in the sequence now. Resolve allowed us to do that over previous versions, and it's sort of quite handy. I quite like it, and it's the way that would work in the online anyway. I would always in my online have on a very high video layer my offline guide. So even if I'm approaching the end of the online and I'm ready to go, this is a finished program, I can turn the online guide on with a split screen and just double check all my shots are still in the right order and I've not made a mistake. Okay, everything is frame accurate. So I'm actually going to drag that into. Okay, there we go. Those are two things. Good. Now I'm going to jump over to my edit page. Edit page, of course, is where you edit. Resolve is a really powerful editor now, actually. I am going to go up here now in the editor. You can see the bins and grab the audio. So I'm just going to drag that WAV guide audio in, place that at the beginning of the timeline. And I'm just going to drag the video guide in too. And I'm going to plop down to video layer 4. Okay, and you can see from the bitsy time code, we're at 1000 hours. Good. 1000 hours on the timeline. See? Good, 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 good. That's what we want. We know that we're going to be in sync. So we know the file starts in the correct place. That's a good thing. What we need to do now is check that the guide, which is the holy grail at the moment, the guide from the offline, is matches with these clips here. Because there is no point if this doesn't match with this, okay, that doesn't match with that, this is wrong, okay, and we need to work out why. It does happen sometimes. Now, click on the offline guide, and I'm just going to go over to the inspector here, and I'm going to go to cropping, and I'm going to crop to the right. I like to have my original media on the right hand side and my guide on the left, okay? So believe it or not, there is a split screen there, that's why the hours have half disappeared. Okay, now I'm going to step through clip by clip, okay, as I go through. And what you want is for all of these to be the same on either side. Looking good, looking good, looking good. Obviously, you take a little bit more time on this than I'm doing at the moment, but it's looking really good to me. Everything is in order. We want every shot to be the same. Yep, yep, great, good. Remember to save, because that is where it will crash. Right at the point you finish that particular task, it will crash, guaranteed. Now, we have our clips ready to grade. Okay, you can now jump over into the color page and you can begin. Thank you.